Many of you may remember the days before effective power steering. However, few really understand the miracle of power steering systems and how it took almost 100 years to perfect.
Oh, for Pete's sake, he's taken both hands off the wheel.
So whether you're a power steering aficionado or haven't yet learned all the details of why your vehicle is able to nudge into that hard-to-find parking spot, hang on to the wheel. The power steering part of the show is next.
Rack and pinion are two component parts of the power steering system in your vehicle. Rack and pinion steering has been around for 100 years and really has been the comeback kid of the automotive mechanical design.
Vehicle manufacturers began using rack and pinion engineering in 1903. The rack is basically a track of teeth which was moved to the right or left with a pinion gear. Competition from something called the worm gear caused the rack and pinion system's first retirement because that system absorbed the bumps in the road better and was easier to steer. In 1951, two of the big three U.S. vehicle manufacturers came out with hydraulic power steering and made the wheels on those big cars turn with the touch of a finger.
Now, all you have to do with the steering wheel is steer.
That was the good news and bad news, because at high speeds, it was easy to oversteer the power steering. Then in the 90s, the control of rack and pinion was combined with the comfort afforded by hydraulics. The power steering fluid that powers the hydraulics also keeps the metal rack and pinion turning smoothly. The critical factor that keeps both systems at maximum performance is the power steering fluid.
Dr. John will show us how.
Thanks, Lori. Specifically, as you turn the wheel on your steering column, you apply a certain force called torque.
It's time to discover. How's that work?
Torque, a force that rotates or turns things.
Through a series of gears which multiply the torque, and with the pressure of power steering fluid, you're able to turn the wheels of your vehicle. The other important function of the power steering fluid is to lubricate the pinion gear. But the pinion is actually only one of several occasions on which metal has the opportunity to meet with metal in your power steering system. And wherever metal meets metal, there better be plenty of lubricant to keep the friction from destroying the parts. Of course, your vehicle comes equipped with plenty of lubricant from the factory, but lubricant has a finite life of its own. Over time, that lubricant begins to break down. This discolored fluid contains debris that can actually add to the wear and tear on your steering mechanism rather than protect it. You don't want to go past about 30,000 miles between each power steering system servicing. And if you're noticing a jerking action or less than smooth operation to your power steering, you need to get it in for servicing right away. Also, you may hear a whining sound. No, not that kind of whining. A kind of squeal, which can also indicate that you need to replace your power steering fluid. So at about 30,000 mile intervals, you need to replace and condition the fluid in the power steering system, which means just putting a bottle of fluid in when the reservoir is way low is not going to get the job done. Even drawing off the old fluid with a vacuum hose, like some shops have done for years, only removes half the used fluid. If you think of the power steering reservoir as this little aquarium with debris settled into the water, and you pour some fresh, clean water into it, well, it isn't fresh and clean anymore. And to take it a step further, not only do you need to remove all the old water, you need to clean the sediment in the tank before you add new water. The same goes for your power steering system. Over time, that debris in your fluid is going to start wearing through the seals and the valves in the system, and you're going to end up having to replace your power steering. So obviously, it's important to steer clear of that.
Just to be sure we get all the debris out of the power steering system before we put the new fluid in, first we add a special cleaning agent into the power steering reservoir. This product loosens hardened sediment and suspends foreign debris so it can be flushed out of the system. Finally, new fluid is added with a special conditioner.
Combining the handling characteristics of rack and pinion with the hydraulic pressure of power steering fluid has proven to be automotive genius. It's also a smart idea to make sure your power steering fluid continues to perform at its best. Thanks for joining us.